Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you again today on our webinar on training transfer effectiveness webinar. We started this webinar in January, and we are here today again. So welcome participants, welcome everyone, the attendees that are here. Welcome Femi, welcome Titi, and it's a pleasure to have you. So we will jump right straight into today's topic. So it's more a continuation. So Femi has been someone that has been here every Thursday. So I think Titi, you're just joining us here for the first time. So I'll see how to just will I say summarize, because we've already this is a continuation. So every Thursday there's something is building up from where we started. Maybe during questions, time for questions, I'll take the question. So it's building up from where we started. So the last time we had this, we stopped on, we are looking at the needs validation process, how to go about it. So that's where we were, the tools needed for the needs validation process. So let me just take this back because of Titi that joined us. So we said there are 4 steps in the needs validation process, which I had already started on. And the first one was diagnostic conversation with the training sponsor or sponsors. Now, the needs validation process is a process whereby, so it was by the way, it was designed, it's a methodology we came about, myself, under Embrand Consulting Limited, our company. It, as a result of so much research, conversations, especially with clients, we found out that there's something we should do. Let's design because we found that a lot of them go straight into training. Any problem, performance problem, they go to training. They say they feel training is the solution. And we kept our interaction, kept finding out, okay, what's the best way to do? So it's from interaction and from research. We love research. I personally love researching, and we found out that there should be something before, when you come up with a problem, there should be something that should be done before that problem. And that's something that should be done before you send people to the training is what we came up as needs validation process. So it's a process that tries to determine, is training really the problem? Because we found out countless times that training was not necessarily the problem was not the best intervention for that problem or that issue that the organization was having or the employee was having. So that's what we started talking about when we started. And so we are looking at the needs validation process, which is a methodology we came up about with. And so we said the first step is diagnostic conversation with the training sponsors. And at this point, you're having the conversation too. So what we are doing is, for this webinar, we are also reaching out to L&Ds and HR in organizations, and also reaching out to training organizations too. So it's a two-way kind of webinar, helping these two groups of people, because whatever knowledge we get, or whatever we come up with, we don't believe that we alone can use it as a business. We believe that other people can use it. So from our ideas, we throw it out there, and if you can and you need more, you can speak to us and we can have that conversation. So for an L&D in an organization, sometimes the training sponsors might just be one person. It might be more than one person, more than one department coming together and saying we want this specific training for those people. So that's why you have sponsors there. So you're either dealing with a training sponsor or dealing with training sponsors. And now you have that conversation with them. What exactly is this training all about? Why are you asking for this training? So we've talked about this. I'm going to move it because in our video on YouTube, you'll see this. So this was where we stopped. So I'll continue from here. So I had to go through that for those of us that may not have been in that webinar. Now we looked at the tools. So first of all, after the reason of why you're having for the trainings, having conversation with training sponsors, we have the objectives. Why? What's the objective of that session with them? Now we look at the tools, what you use. Based on different organizations, there are different tools you can use. And so we always say right size fit, not not best fit practice. Not best practice. Say yes. So let me take that again. We usually say not best practice. That's for us as a business. We usually say best fit practice. Now, best fit practice, we all know what that means. That what worked for company A and it went very well may not work for company B based on their circumstances. So we always say, we preach best fit practice. Now, there are some tools you can use when having this conversation with the stakeholders, which is the training sponsors. And I will tell you what we've used with clients. One is the alignment questionnaire. Now, the alignment questionnaire is a questionnaire that based on the conversation we've had, and the questionnaire tends to gather insights from the training sponsors. You're saying that this specific challenge, that there's this challenge, there's this gap. Now we're asking, what prompted this? What were the issues? What came about this? We try to be very practical in this webinar. A client we also worked with using this so it was the CEO night. It's an entrepreneur, an organization into video. They are into videos. They do videos and things like that. I can't remember. Of course, I cannot give out the name of the client, right? So during the conversation we had with the training sponsor, which was the CEO, we had already come up with questions based on what the CEO sent to us, and we stay asking, why did you ask for this training? What was the reason? What were the issues that prompted that you felt they needed this training? So we had that conversation, and from the conversation we're taking notes to find out if what she was asking for was a training intervention or a non-training intervention or an integration, a merge of both training intervention and non-training intervention. So you come up with a questionnaire that you would use to ask. Now I say L&D. So for those who are the L&Ds in the organization, or those who are HRs carrying out the L&D function, whoever you are carrying out the L&D function, please intentionally become performance consultants. I'll take that again. Intentionally become performance consultants. You need to ask questions. Ask deep questions to bring out the root cause. Right, so that's what I've been advocating now for those that manage the learning function in organizations. Be performance consultants. That will help you a whole lot. Now, there are some organizations you can also use the business problem mapping template. That it tries to identify what is the business impact that training wants to solve. Is it productivity lost? Is it high turnover? Is it revenue declines? So with the conversation you're having with that training sponsor, it maps where are you now? If it is productivity loss, where are you? What do you think this training will do to increase productivity and you don't have a loss? If it's high turnover, is revenue decline? So these are conversations. So what you do, you're able to map. What this does, the business problem mapping template, what it does is you're able to map, is it a skill? Because if it is skill or knowledge, it is training. That's given. Skill or knowledge is training. However, if it is behaviors, it is system, it is processes, issues, it is not a training issue. It is not a training intervention. So with that business problem mapping template, you're able to discover what it is. Then the third thing, you could also use what we call the organizational performance metrics review. Now, what you do is analyzing the KPI. Now, in looking at the KPI, it helps you to determine, is training really the best intervention for this? Maybe through the reports from the HR on the employee's performance, or through the feedback you get from customers based on those employees or the employee, or depend on the KPI you're using for the employee. Is it the productivity metrics you're using? Is it quality control report? Whatever it is, or is it even employee engagement survey? Whatever KPI you're using, you need to analyze that KPI. Look at it. Whatever KPI is being used for the organization, you look at it. Is it related to skill and knowledge gap, or is it something else? Another tool you can also use is what we call the training needs versus performance needs analysis grid. It's just more like the organizational metrics, right? What this does is checking, is it training needs that is the issue, or is it performance needs? Is it caused, and when we say performance needs, is it caused by leadership? Is it a leadership issue? Is it a motivation issue? Is it a work environment issue? Now, let me blow your minds. A colleague of mine, when I was discussing with him about the needs validation process that we came up with. And he said, Sandra, this is just on point. He said, let me now tell you. He said, he's also into training like us, a training business. So he said he did a training for an organization, and the training was wonderful. They enjoyed it, and it was awesome. They gave a 5-star rating, and he was proud of himself. A 5-star rating, right? 3 months down the line, when he came back 3 months later for post training evaluation, and saw that nothing has really changed. Everything was still the same. And he was like, what really is it that you did enjoy the training? What was the problem? They said, see, our problem was not that training. What we needed was they should increase salary. That they were not even interested. They should increase salary. That no, but he should not get them wrong. They enjoyed the training. It was awesome. It was a very great facilitator and all that. But that wasn't really their problem. So it was like, Sandra, this is germane. This thing you talked about, the needs validation, is germane. So you see that so there are 3 phases for the training phase. There are 3 phases. We have what we call pre-training phase, during training phase, and post-training phase. So during training phase was awesome. Awesome in the sense that they enjoyed the training, gave him a 5-star rating, and they gave him a 5-star rating and all, and he felt, yes, that's it. But you can see what happened post-training. He said that was not their problem. Though the during worked well, the post did not. And post cannot even work well if pre doesn't work. So you can see why those 3 phases of training is very, very key. So this is what this tool does. It's checking, is it really a training needs or is it performance needs? Is it really a lack of knowledge or skills? So don't get me wrong. Training also solves performance issues. Now is to find out in this performance issue, is it as a result of lack of knowledge? Is it as a result of lack of skill? That's when training comes in. However, when it changes, that is not a knowledge gap, it's not a skill gap, that has to do with motivation. Train from today till next year, nothing will change. The issue is the work environment. Train those employees, and the issue is their line manager making the climate in their department toxic. Send them on training from now till tomorrow. Nothing will change, because that is not the root cause. What people were treating were symptoms. So I tell those in charge of the training function, HR, L&D, I always say training because some organizations, the people in charge of the training function is L&D. Why some organization, it is HR that does all that. So I always say, do not treat symptoms, treat root cause. The root cause. Symptoms means when you treat that symptom, the problem will still be there or it will come back again. But when you treat the root cause, you're able to salvage and solve the problem. So this is another tool we use in the diagnostic conversation with the training sponsor. Now we go to the step 2, which is diagnostic conversation with earmarked attendees, those that have been earmarked to attend the training. And I'm going to also be practical again in this. Now, what is the essence of this step? The essence of this step is you've chosen A, B, C, D to attend training. Great. On reusing our methodology, you don't just send people on training without talking to them, because they may feel that they don't even need it. I've seen people in the training classes. So apart from we training organizations, I personally work with some training organizations. I go to facilitate on their behalf, right? And I've been in class where attendees have said they don't even know why they send them here, that they're not supposed to hear, that this training, they don't need it. So you can see that it's already a waste. Why some attendees will come for training, especially so the one I did in Ghana, I went to facilitate on behalf of a friend. He had some public sector people brought to Ghana for training and all that. Do you know that some of these people left class and they went shopping? They went for shopping, and I said, shoot me, blow my mind. And my friend was like, leave them, oh. don't put sansan in my gari. I hope those who are not Nigerians will understand what I mean. I can't start translating what sansan in gari means. I'm so sorry for those who are not Nigerians that could not understand, or maybe do not give me a problem, right? So these people, they don't see the need of this training. So this methodology, the MVP is saying, which is the needs validation process, is saying, have a conversation with those you've earmarked to attend this training, to even find out from them. You've been earmarked for this training. You've been asked to go for this training. Do you think you need the training? So do you think that this training is for you? So we have that conversation with them, trying to understand what are the challenges you're facing. Why do you think they're sending you into this training? What are the challenges you're facing on the job, in your work? In doing this, we are trying to find out the root cause of the challenges. Is it a training issue or a non-training intervention? So with that, we are trying to find out what are the potential solutions. Is it going to be training and non-training options, or just a training option, or just a non-training option? Now, being practical again, same clients we are dealing with, we had a conversation with those that be earmarked for the training. And during our conversation, we found out that out of the 5 things they wanted, the training sponsor wanted them to be trained on, only 2 were training interventions. 3 were non-training interventions. So you can imagine if we didn't have this methodology, or we want to take our money and go, would have just wasted their time. And the problem will still be there, because it's just symptoms. Because our doing training is always beautiful. We come up with various things, activities, videos, games. So in short, when you come for training, when we train, you enjoy it. So it would have been what happened to my friend. Everything during the training was awesome. Now post one chance, it's a problem, right? So that's the essence of this step, to have the conversation with them to find out if really training is the issue. And what's the objective? I think I've already talked about it. To gain first insight into what is the workplace challenges they are facing, understand their struggles on a day-to-day based on their roles, identify whether the challenges they are facing, is this as a result from the lack of knowledge, the skills? Is it poor processes? Is it leadership gaps? Is it environmental factors? What is it? Is it even their line managers is a problem? Their line managers is the problem. Some, they will tell you upfront, my line manager is not helping me to apply whatever. So if I go to this training, it's a waste of time. So these are things the conversation we have and all that, to identify whether training is the solution. Objectives of these steps again: assess the employee's perception of training and other solutions. Will training help them to overcome the challenges they are facing? Trying to identify the barriers. Then ensure that what the training sponsor is asking for, or what the training sponsors are asking for, is aligned to what the attendees need. So this is the objective of having that conversation with the attendee, the employees earmarked for the training. What are the tools we use for this step? There are various tools. So you could use pre-designed questionnaire to collect responses. That is very important for us. It's data we use to give our reports. Data is the lifeline of every business. I've told people are scared of data. A lot of HR people, yes, they are scared of data. Now, we don't need bogus and so much easy ones, surveys, right? Simple thing. You must measure and evaluate. That's the only way you can tell your stories. No measurement, how can you evaluate? If you don't do pre-training, how can you do post-training? How can you even do during training very well? So little ways, no matter how little it is, do ensure you get data, no matter how it is. So you could also use pre-designed questionnaires to collect responses from those people. You could use structured interviews. You could use observation. Observation now has to, so that's why I said we do best fit practice, because sometimes, like the observation checklist we came up with, it's not for every organization. Now there's some organizations like those in manufacturing, you need to have an observation checklist whereby you're observing what they are doing. With that, in the observation, you're able to find out. You could even do observation file for from 1 or 2 days. Stay with them, take notes to find out what exactly is this really a knowledge or a skill gap, or it's a is a behavioral gap, or it's even the organizational gap, the process, is even the behaviors, the department. So there's so many things. So you could use any of these tools. So for us, what we used with that client, we used what we call a focus group. So it's not here, it was a focus group we had with them. So all of them together, we came up with questions, and we had a focus session. Sometimes you could have a one-on-one. So it also depends again. So there's no hard way, this is how to do it. So these are ways we've done it, and we are encouraging clients to do it. So you could also have more ways you want, more tools you want to use for this step. Now the step 3 is what we call the root cause analysis. Now, from everything we've gotten from our conversation with the training sponsor or sponsors, our conversation with the attendees that have been earmarked for the training, from those conversations we've gotten, we now start analyzing what we have. We have the data we got from the training sponsors, the data we got from the attendees that are earmarked for it. We are looking at the data. We are looking at it to find out what exactly is it. Is it both a skill? Is it a skill or knowledge gap, or is it both? Is it as a result of process inefficiencies or missing tools? Is it a leadership or cultural issue? Is it other L&D intervention? So we look at this. Now, I will share this. This is a practical thing that happened. So for that client, we discovered, just like I said, so we discovered that 2 were training interventions. The remaining 3 things we're asking for were non-training interventions. So things like, so we found out that things like their processes. So they didn't have a process flow for all their processes. So most times the staff are reactive to what they are doing. The CEO is expecting them to be proactive. She gives this, they should be on top of it and all that. And she used the words, they are reactive. Now, during the conversation with them, what are you reactive? What makes you reactive to? We found out that it was because they did not have templates for reporting. They did not have a process. So you cannot start training them on all this. It's something they have to develop by themselves. They have to develop a process flow. You can't train them on reactiveness. So you can imagine if you went straight to creating a training on how to be proactive in work, in the work approach, how to be, you can have a training on what are the steps of things you should do for people to be proactive. We didn't do that. So that was not the issue of making them reactive. It wasn't because they didn't know they should be proactive. They didn't have the tools, the knowledge, or the skills to help them to be proactive. It's as simple as that. So after you look at that both analysis, sometimes it could also be, and I'm going to share this, my mentor shared this with me, and I'm going to share it with you. And he's the head of HR. I was the head of HR where he was working. And there was someone that was in HR department, and he found out that this person was not just fitting. During performance appraisal, with discussion, even with the man, wasn't fitting in. And he told him that he was going to move him out from HR. There was a problem. There was a big problem on that. The man felt that his line manager didn't like him, and ranting, making issues. The line manager went, he knew that, he said, I knew this guy's strength, and I know that this guy cannot survive in HR. That where his best fit is public relations department. So he went to meet the public relations, head of public relations, they're on the same level, and said, I would like to move this person to your department. The woman said, no, you've come again. You've come. You don't want, HR doesn't want him, so you want to come and dump him for us. He now said, no, I'm not dumping him for you. Give him 3 to 6 months. If he doesn't fit in your department, I'll come back. I'll take him and we will exit him out, because he's not fitting in HR, right? And they kept arguing. He said, just trust me on this. And that's why it's very good for HR to have a right rapport with other department heads. Let them not see you as you are there, HR. They are on their own. Let there be this handshake. Let there be this being able to work together. And so she let her accept it. And even the guy was bringing brimstones and all that. They transferred him to the HR department. And now, when they transferred him to HR, they transferred him out of HR department, which is what I call role reassignment. There's somewhere I wrote role reassignment. So they reassigned his role. So they removed him from HR and put him in PR, public relation. This guy soared. This is a real life case. I don't know if I'm permitted to say who my mentor is. I'm sure he wouldn't mind that told me this story. Let me continue speaking. If it clicks in my head that he wouldn't mind, because I didn't take his permission to share this. I think I need to share this to give him that he did the right thing, and this is what a lot of us need to learn to do. So the guy soared, and he left the organization where he was the HR director. He left the organization, and he was transferred to South Africa, right? And in another organization. One day he said he got a call, and this guy called him and said, good morning, sir. You may not know me. I don't know if you remember me again. My name is so. I worked with you in so place, and I would like to come and see you. He said he gave him address in South Africa. Told him come. And the guy came to visit my mentor. And he told him, he said, I've just come to say a very big thank you to you for what you did for me. Those years when you did it, I felt that you were evil to me. I felt you wanted to destroy me, destroy my career. But now I know better. That as he's talking to him, he said, I am still, I've retired from that organization. However, they did not want me. Is it retired? He said, I've left there, but they still wanted me on. So I'm on a 3 years contract with them because of how I did well. So you can see that sometimes it's not. So you can imagine if my mentor sent this guy on training, that this is his issues and all that. Sometimes it may not be a training issue. This was just a role realignment issue. So sometimes you need to know your staff, the people that are working with you, to know what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, where do they have skills, their knowledge. Don't think they must stay in your department forever. You can reassign them and let them not see it as you're killing their career or killing their goal. However, you as the line manager must understand that very well. You must understand them and in order to be able to move them. So I want him to mute the person that's speaking. So that was what happened. And he thanked him so much and said, I just want to say thank you. And that's why I came all the way to meet you, because I was in South Africa and I knew you were in South Africa. So what are we saying, or what am I saying here is very, very important and very key to be able to determine what exactly the root cause is, not the symptoms. So during the analysis, we're able to, so this is the third step, the root cause analysis. With all the data you have from the first step and the second step, you look at it and find out. So from us, when we worked with our clients, we found out that there were an integration of training and of training intervention and non-training intervention. So what we are doing for them is, because we are still on it, so what we are doing for them is, so we're going to be training them on 2 things. From one of them was communication. I can't remember the second one. Then the rest is a non-training intervention. So we're going to be consulting for them on that. It's an HR consulting we'll be doing for them, non-training intervention, helping them to look at their processes, the HR processes, their templates, how to come up with their template design. So that's not a non-training intervention. So that is what happens in your step 3. Then we go to the step 4. Now, step 3 is what I said. So we are able to come up, this is what it is. Now we do the reports. So which is what we call the need analysis reports. So the insights we get, so we create a report, so which was what we did and we sent to the client. Out of everything, we now designed our report and showed. So in this report, it's showing if it's a training intervention, you're listing the specific skills or knowledge areas that require training, you list it out. If it's a non-training intervention, you're identifying the solution outside training that will be held. Is it a job rotation? Is it job aid? Is it a role reassignment? Is it coaching? Is it mentoring? So sometimes it might even be coaching and mentoring, which are not training interventions. So whatever it is, you come up with it. Then Then if it's an integrated intervention, which is what I said, so it's an integrated intervention, is a blend of training and non-training interventions with the comprehensive solutions. So this is the step 4 for the need analysis report. Okay, what is the expected outcomes of the needs validation process? Now, this is the expected outcomes for the needs validation process. So by the end of the process, the organization should be able to achieve 1, alignment, clear alignment between organizational goals, leadership expectations, and team needs. Secondly, clarity. They should be able to determine whether training is the right solution or not. Is it a training intervention or a non-training intervention, or an integrated plan of both training and non-training? Then the third thing is insights. They should be able to identify what are the solutions required to tackle this. The non-training interventions, what are the solutions required to tackle it? Okay, at this point, I would, let me show this, then I'll give time for, it's now time for questions. So what we do is, I speak from 7 to 7:35. I'm looking at the chat box, see if people are asking questions, because the webinar is just for 45 minutes. Then the remaining 10 minutes, we use it to answer questions, even questions that may be outside this, based on questions on training transfer, we answer, I answer it. So now, the needs validation, this is what we came up with, which we can, I think we will share this with you people when we're sending the slides for those that attended. So the needs validation process is an indispensable part of our methodology. It's indispensable. We don't work with any client without doing this first. Yes. If they don't want it, we tell them to look for someone else. Because at the end, they come back to us and we are the issues. So we must do this. So any client that is working with us must go through the needs validation process, so we can find out really what the root cause is. So this ensures that every intervention delivers maximum value. And not just that, it aligns with your organization's strategic objectives. So when you engage in this process, as an organization, you're very confident in your intervention, knowing that your intervention is going to drive meaningful and measurable results and impact for your business. So this is the needs validation process at a glance. So at this point in time, I want to ask, are there questions? Are there questions at this point in time? Or let me just finish with this and we'll just take questions. Training is not the solution until the problem is understood. Needs validation ensures that every intervention is intentional, is impactful, and is aligned with business success. And this is what I said. This is my own quote. Sandra De Oracle, the Training Transfer Effectiveness Advocate. No validation, no intervention. That's what we are. We are as a business. As an organization, we said no validation, no intervention. The right solution always starts with the right diagnosis. So get the right diagnosis well. So as a result of what you've heard today, what will be your next line of action? What is your next line of action from this webinar? Well, we start, because this is a build up on what you've been doing. What's your next line of action? As you're preparing your next line of action, let me ask, it's time for questions, Q&A. What are the questions you may have at this point in time? Is there anyone that has questions? What are the questions you may have? Let me now check. Are there questions? What are the questions you may have? You can unmute your microphone, or you can either you unmute your microphone or you raise up your emoticon hands. Do we have questions at this point in time? Okay, that means everything. Okay, I can see a message in the text box. Okay, thank you very much, Femi. Femi said none from me. Okay, so thank you so much. So that means we are okay. Titi also said none. Okay, so if there are no questions, let's go to the next thing. What is your next line of action? What's your next line of action? What would you be doing differently from what you've heard today? What's your next line of action? Do you want to type into chat what your next line of action will be? What your next line of action will be? And just like I said, so we are building up on the training transfer effectiveness. as a business, we have a 5-year mandate to work with at least, for in Africa, to work with at least 500 organizations to help them to show the return on investment and return on expectations for their training. And that's what we are doing. So what we are doing is helping through this webinar, step by step, on how to go about it. We are giving you small bits to chew. As we do this, you make use of it. As whatever we share with you, you make use of it. And it's helping you to start doing that, showing return on expectation and return on investment for your training. Okay, I want to believe that you have noted your next line of action. In conclusion, I will say old ways won't open new doors. Old ways don't open new doors. Success doesn't come cheap. It comes with hard work. And for success, you must have results. So are you willing to pay the price for success? You can see the process it takes. Are you willing to do that? The choice is yours now. What will it be? And I'll say, finally, be happy and feel good about yourself always. Be happy and feel good about yourself always. And so thank you so much for joining the webinar. I'm going to give a bit of announcement. This is me, Coach Sandra Iheanacho, the Oracle, the Training Transfer Effectiveness Advocate. That's my number, my LinkedIn, IG, X, and that's my email. You can reach me at on that. And so I will stop sharing my screen now. Okay, I can see Titi's hand up. Titi, okay, please, you can unmute your microphone. Thank you so much, Titi.
All right. I'm sorry. I know I'm a latecomer. I'm joining the class for the first time, but I think this is a very interesting session. I enjoyed every bit of it. And I think it's very critical for everyone. You know, there's something you said that resonates with me very well. And when you talk of return on investment and return on expectation, a lot of organizations, you know, what the focus is always ROI, especially when we're doing our metrics. But the bottom line is, do you really, you know, do those metrics? Do you really measure? You know, so I think this is a step in the right direction, if I must say. And I think I like the part where for you to understand, how do I put it? There's always a problem and there's always the solution. You know, so the root cause analysis you mentioned is also something that one needs to begin to look at even as you go on. You know, and while you were speaking, I just looked at it that even for individual, I know you're looking at organization, even as an individual, there's always the mindset is so wrong with regards to organizations generally. It's so wrong with regards to training. You know, training, you said it, training, some people want to go because of the ESTA code, some just want to take time off their work, some want to, you know, there's just so much, you know, happening around training. And for us, I mean, organization, you know, if you focus on training effectiveness, you know, it's going to help the organization for the individual and for the organization. I just thought I should just ask that. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you so much, Titi. Thank you. When you just talked, I just remember that those people in Ghana, and I just started laughing, right? You know, and and that's what it is, and that's what we're trying to do. And okay, let me also just share this here within the remaining 2 minutes I have. I'm sure you people can see what is on my my backdrop. It's called ITEC 2025, the world's first. The one you read is world first. So it's called International Training Transfer Effectiveness Conference. You'll be hearing announcements very soon on LinkedIn and on the social media. Now, we are, as a company, we are the very first people to organize a training transfer effectiveness conference in Nigeria, in Africa, and in the world general. Check it. There's no conference that's been on training transfer effectiveness. So it's something that is happening. It's a conference happening in, thank you so much, Titi. It's a conference happening in Lagos, Nigeria, in Lagos Oriental Hotel, November 13 and 14. It's a paid conference, of course. And we have delegates coming in from every part of Africa. Our keynote speaker is coming all the way from Switzerland. She's the CEO of the Institute for Transfer Effectiveness, by name Melanie Martinelli. We also have someone into the accelerated learning workshop is Tom Mayer. He's coming in from Chicago. So it's a gathering of L&Ds, HR, COOs, line managers, supervisors. We need to, that elephant in the room, people don't want to talk about training transfer. We need to start talking about it now. And so that's a conference that we are having, and so we have taken the bulls by the horn. We're going to talk about this elephant. And that's why we're having this webinars. We'll soon be having podcasts. We'll soon be having podcasts. We'll also be having other things, breakfast meetings and all that. So stay tuned. The website is on, so go and check it out, register and come on board for the conference. So there, and let's start singing the song on Training Transfer. So it's exactly 7:45 p.m. and I just want to say thank you so much. And I see Titi type something. She said we'll be there by God's grace. Yes, Titi, I look forward to seeing you. Titi, she's a wonderful woman I've known for some years now. I look forward to seeing you. So on this note, we want to say thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Femi, for always being here. Femi, seems you're going to win a prize for always being here. Thank you, Titi, for joining. Thank you, Faith, sending your AI note taker. Thank you, Samson, for being the anchor moderator here. I really appreciate you. And thank you, everyone that will be watching, the viewers. I look forward to seeing you again, same time next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. And let's start singing that song for Training Transfer, that it must happen. And on this note, I'll end the call. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you'll be signing in from. Thank you.